Okay. We are back. We are so back. So yeah, when sculpting in Blender, make sure you save a lot. Save often. If you're paying attention to what you're doing, you won't clash that much. And then you also kind of learn what you do to make you clash, or to make the thing clash. So what happened that time was, so you can see the number of vertices. So if this has 11,000 or 111,000 vertices. And if you try to subdivide surfaces on that, so let's take a sphere. The sphere currently has 500 faces, or let me see. Yeah, this has 500,000 vertices. This has 400 vertices. If we subdivide this, it now has 7,000 vertices. So it multiplied it by like 20. So this will go to 10 million vertices, and then Blender starts clashing around 8-9 million vertices on a single object. So that's what happened. It would have doubled to, or 20x'd itself all the way up to 10 million vertices, and then that caused everything to clash. I had to shut my computer down, turn it back on. But anyway, we are back. And the best thing about having to do something twice is that you get to do it twice. So now you literally know that you know what you know. Okay. Move this neck forward a little bit. Okay. And we make the head a little bit bigger. There we go. Actually make the head a lot bigger. See. Move it over like that. Let me just move these over a little bit as well. There we go. Perfect. So now we can move on to making the tail. Okay, so the tail is probably going to be done with a curve, probably. Let's see. We'll probably do a curve and then start messing in sculpt mode to fill out the shape. So curve, just add a Bezier curve. Rotate it in the Y dimension, then the X dimension, or the X and the Y, either or. So we can do this here, move this over there. Okay, push that up. Get the general shape of the tail, so that one goes up there. Then we have this here. So when you go into edit mode, if you click on the vertex, you get these little long pieces like that and like that. We pull this in a little bit. Okay. Then we can exclude this as well over here. very, very long tail. We can kind of curve this up. Okay. Now we have that, we can add some volume to the tail with going here in the curve section, geometry, add some depth. That. Okay. We're gonna have to make this little piece smaller, so we just Alt S. Okay, Alt S makes it smaller. Then we can move this piece over. Okay. And then this piece, we can use Alt S as well to make it really tiny. And then we are going to probably finish the shape out in sculpt mode. So Alt S again. And we're going to leave this as this portion here. So this curves that way. So now what we will do, always shade, we'll convert this to a mesh. And then we'll shade flat. So now with symmetry enabled, go into sculpt mode and then begin messing with this shape. So smooth tool. For rotation. Perfect here. Make sure if you're on a single, so if you're ever, we're gonna be 3D printing this, put in our D&D game. If you ever have a single object, you never want the vertices to intersect like this. Let me subdivide it so you can see what I'm talking about. If you ever have this where they're kind of overlapping on the inside of your model or your mesh, you'll have errors. They won't print properly. So you always want to smooth them out and get rid of that overlapping. Now we're just gonna use snake hook tool to just kind of bring volume everywhere. Smooth. Clay slips tool as well. Smooth a little bit. Clay slips. Okay. There. Need some volume here as well. Okay. Then we're just gonna use snake hook tool. This is just kind of pushing everything around. Try to get the basic shape of this portion. So we have this portion up here. Goes down into this portion. That goes up into this portion. I pull this out a little bit. That goes into this portion, which goes into that portion. So we're gonna fill the edges. And then we're gonna apply right surfaces, and then we're just gonna mess with it until it feels okay. So we can start adding some subdivisions. 35 is probably too much. It is. We'll probably go start at 10. 10's probably fine. for now. And we'll go to 15 or 20. 20 is fine. Okay, so we're at 20. And that's in the dynamic topology section. All the way at the beginning, the top, the smooth library and the lunch. Move this out. Move this out a little bit. Smooth it out a lot. I'm gonna lower it a little bit more, maybe back to 15. The more vertices you have, the slower Blender is when sculpting it. So we have this here. The general shape. Now we're just gonna use the inflate tool to kind of make it real fluffy, like the art here. See how that's pinching in? You want to make sure it doesn't pinch in like that. And we'll do these sections. I'll figure it out. I don't know how I'm going to do those right now. But yeah, so if you use clay slips tool, kind of adds volume without intersecting. Okay. So we can move this section over here a little bit higher. Pull this in. Pull this in. Add some volume here. Add a little bit more dimension with the dynamic topology. Okay. Now we're getting the general shape of the tail. Okay. That's the general shape of the tail. We have this curve going up. Okay. Then this goes inwards, but we'll just make this loop with the pinch tool and the crease tool. Then we have this portion, which we can, portion is there. So this is this. This is this. So this portion here, there. Okay. Something like that. So we're going to get out of symmetry here soon to give it a lot more life. To really make it look like it's a giant fluffy tail. It kind of looks like it now. Okay. Add a little bit of volume here by inflating this section a little bit. So now we're going to get gonna get out of sculpt mode here, or we're gonna get out of Yeesh. Gonna make this connection point a little bit better by adding some more volume with Clasers tool. Okay. And now we're going to start shaping it, and then we're going to add these swirls. Swirls are difficult. Okay, so we can disable geometry there, symmetry there, and then we can pull this piece down a little bit. Then here at the end, we can pinch it in. Okay, we can add some more volume up top here. Okay. Very big tail. Okay, so now we can begin adding these swirls. So what I will do is I'll just add some volume in the general areas, like here for that swirl, down here for this swirl, and up here for this swirl. And then I'll try to mirror this as best as I can over here for this swirl. Then over here for this swirl. And up here for this swirl. So now that I have some volume, I can begin to add the swirl bits. So do that by getting our Cleese plush. We can just put it at a smaller volume here. Stabilize the slopes and add some swirls. That. Just add swirls. Well, the other way, actually. So here, add some swirls there. Increase this length a little bit. Add some swirls. Yep, there we go. Add some swirls here. Perfect. Add some swirls down here. Same thing over here on the back. Some swirls. And here we can add some swirls. Can add some geometry. A little bit of it. Okay, perfect. We added some swirls here. Continue to add swirls. Just using the Cleese tool. Add some swirls. And then what we'll do is we'll smooth the outer part, leave the inner part. And then it'll really look like a swirl. Here, the swirl is over on this side. Add some little bit of geometry here. Go. A swirl here. Okay. So now what we can do is we can smooth this portion. The portion that is touching the bulk of the cloud. Smooth that out. You can also smooth the part that the cloud portion a little bit. Add some volume. Add some geometry in places where you want to add it. I'm going to go inside to show you what I'm talking about, because this is a good example. So here, this geometry is intersecting other geometry, so you want to make sure that that's not happening. If you have that, you'd have issues with your 3D print when we 3D print this later. Okay, so we can do the swirl, smooth this portion out here. And just smooth this out a tiny amount. Smooth this outer portion. Then smooth the swirl portion a little bit. And we'll see where we're at. Okay. Okay, so we have this. We have to go a little bit. Okay, there we go. Maybe add some geometry here. Smooth that out. It kind of looks like it's part of the cloud instead of just jetting out from it. Okay, so now we have a lot more cloud bits, swirly bits on this cloud tail. Okay. Gonna go in and make it a little bit more obvious that there's swirls like that. Make sure everything is smooth. Okay. And that's starting to look like it. I'll probably just over here, it doesn't look like it very much, so we'll just use the snake hook tool over here. Make sure you're looking at your model from a lot of different sides. And make sure you're saving often. Okay. We have that here. Perfect. That looks closer to it. It's just probably has to be sized a little bit in this dimension here. And then also, you can probably pull it in a little bit. They're just using a lab tool at a very high radius. Okay. Maybe make this fill this portion in a little bit. And smooth it out a little bit. Okay, and then we'll just make a little crease down here. So it makes it look like a tiny swirl. Down at the bottom. Okay. Okay, now we have that there. That looks closer to the tail. And now we can add the little, I guess they're gems. These are simple, they're just UV spheres. UV spheres. Put them in the places that you think make the most sense. Because this is a probably closer, like there. Okay, perfect. Between those two, we have one back here. Okay, so we have one down here. Shift down here. Then we have another one here, just in the middle somewhere. Like there, just hanging out. And then I'm gonna add one on the other side, maybe one or two on the other side. We'll put one down here, and then we'll put one in this little portion here. Okay. So that looks kind of close to it. Probably make this swirl look a little bit cleaner. We can do by just using our inch tool, maybe, and then inflate a little bit. Okay. Just gonna nudge it in a direction a little bit. Nudge tool, just kind of just nudges all of it together. And then this doesn't look like a swirl completely. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little bit of geometry here. Or I'm just gonna add some volume there. Smooth it. Then I'm gonna try to add a swirl. See? Kind of. Gonna add a little bit more here. Okay, and that looks a little bit more like a swirl. I think in general, that's a passable tail. And just keep going until you feel comfortable with it. I'm pretty close here. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fine. I'm fine with it. Okay, so now we can go on to making the, have this, probably just make this body a little bit bigger. Move these feet down slightly. Make the arms a little bigger. Okay. And now we can work on making the hair. Is going to be annoying, but the hair can be made using curves. So I'll just make a bunch of curves. Okay, so we have this curve here. Okay, so we have this curve. So this curve is going to be this piece of hair. Okay, so what you do is you just add a curve, add some geometry. Where is it? Yep, add some geometry here. Then bevel, move around. We just kind of do this, where we put the hair here. Then we can subdivide surfaces, or I mean, subdivide it. And keep messing with it to try to get rid of that little intersection portion. Okay, so this part is probably going to be kind of big, and then we just make this part smaller. That. Part smaller. And then we can move this up slightly. Then we can extrude it. We can extrude it, and that will give us a little bit more here. That's how we get kind of what we're looking for. And okay. So that is probably this top one. So we're going to okay, we're going to add this big one. Just gonna duplicate it. Gonna move this down here. Part of this glorious mane. Gonna make it giant here. Gonna delete this one. this vertex over here. Gonna move this one out. Then we're going to move this vertex over. And we're gonna make that vertex smaller. Probably subdivide this, add a vertex in the middle here. There we go. Now that we have that, the two major ones, we can just start adding smaller ones. Probably take this, rotate it, then mirror. After we convert it to a mesh, we can mirror that. But what we can do here is we can take this, we can duplicate it, then we can, I believe we can separate it by selection. Now we have this little portion here, and we can use that to make these little offshoots. Okay. This is an offshoot here. Or hair, I guess, strands, offshoots, I don't know what to call them. So we can kind of put them, mirror them a little bit. And kind of big. Let's see, the hair may be too big. Just gonna make all this hair smaller. There we go. That's better. Okay, we have this little piece, which is that one. Let's make a lot more sense when we union everything together. It goes over here. Then we can add another one here. Mirror those two. And then it looks like this portion here. Yeah, I'll show you how to do this. We'll mirror that, and then we'll make it look like it has this hair part. So now we need one more up here. For this little portion of the head. That little... Take this. We can... Alt S, make that a little bit bigger. Make this a little bit smaller. Alt S. Get in a little bit. Like that. Push this in. So this long distance between here and here, we can bring that in. And then we have a little bit closer to this. This is a lot more hair than I usually sculpt or model. Okay. And then we can make this portion, which is just going to be done using a couple of meta balls, the sphere. Okay. So we have the sphere. We just say that goes right there. This needs to be slightly bigger. Okay. Mirror, make this mirror small. Put it over here. This portion I'll probably make this portion a curve. Move it up. Curve it around. Rotate it like that. Move it over here. Perfect, like that. Okay, we have this here. Now we can just add some depth. Maybe do one of these. Extrude it a little bit. Rotate it. You hit A. Oh, keys. My bad. The keys turned off when everything shut down earlier in the stream. Okay. So we can Alt A, Alt S to make it a little bit bigger. Hit A to select all of them. Then pull this one up a little bit. And this will serve as that little loopy piece that loops around. That. Gonna make it a little bit bigger. And then when I solidify this, or when it converts to a mesh, I'll fill in the end and I'll make it look more like this circle. So for these two portions here, I'm just going to add some meta balls. Meta ball here. There. And then just add another meta ball here. And then maybe add another meta ball up here. Yeah. And then I will, once I convert the meta balls to a mesh, subdivide surfaces on them. And then we can start really making this hair look like something. So right now, let me just mirror this foot. Make the foot a little bit bigger. Mirror the foot across the body. Okay. Probably make all of this a little bit bigger. There we go. It doesn't fall down on itself. Okay, so now we have here. We can start converting these to meshes. Convert. Yeah, convert this to mesh. All these. Now we can mirror them. Convert this to a mesh. Okay, so shade flat, so you know what you're working with. This has to be converted to mesh. If you look here, that's how you know they're converted to mesh or not. So all of those are converted to meshes. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to fill in this face, fill, inset a little bit, and then move them out a little bit to give them that hair tip. Fill. Okay. Just gonna do this to all of them. There we go. Okay, fill these in. Okay. Then we can subdivide these surfaces a little bit, make them look a little bit more hair. Fill this in. The same. Eye. Shout. A little bit smaller. They have that hair tip part. Rotate it a little bit. R. And then turn on portion editing. Portionally edit it. Okay. Divide surfaces here a little bit as well. Okay. Same up here. That's pushed in. Get out slightly. There we go. As for this portion, make flat. We're going to fill this in here. Then we're gonna make that smaller. Put it out. Then we're going to add another edge loop. There we go. Then we're just gonna move all of it, I think. G, or I may just move it in sculpt mode. I just hit the glab tool. There we go, glab tool. There we go. And then we can really finish it off in sculpt mode. Okay. Yeah. So now we're just gonna mirror these. Oh, make sure that the back is filled in too. So we just X-lay mode, Alt click, Alt left click to select all the vertices in that edge loop. Fill those in, no problem. Same thing. And same thing here. And then same thing here. Fill those in. Okay, perfect. We'll do the same on this one. Fill. Okay, perfect. Now we can just mirror these portions, these ones. Mirror here. Across the X, I guess. And the Z. And we mirror this across the Z. So the reason it's a Z and not the X is because we rotated it a bunch. So if we look at here, it has a different rotations, and that's what's giving it the odd rotational characteristics. Okay, so now we have this. We can now before we union everything, we have to make sure that there's no overlapping geometries here. Just use a smooth tool real quick. And then we can do like we did in the cloud to really make those real fluffy, like this big hair. Okay. Okay, yeah, so now we can just start unioning these together. So just click on that, union, probably convert these to mesh, convert to mesh. And then we just start unioning together. So this can be unioned with. See how these overlap here? Because they overlap, we're gonna have to separate them out and then union them individually. At least that's what I do, because when I don't, you get issues in the 3D printer. Okay. Now we can union this to this. Union here. So that's causing an issue somewhere. Because these something was overlapping somewhere. I don't know where. And then we can union this here. And then we'll probably just stop there. And then we'll use sculpt mode to make the hair a little bit more luxurious. We will mirror this one as well. You want to make sure they're not merging. What we're gonna do is we're gonna origins geometry. I'm gonna confirm rotation scale. We're also gonna confirm the rotation scale of this one. And force. Oh, okay. Geometry. Origin geometry, and hopefully this works. Now we're just gonna rotate it across the body. There we go. Okay. So now we're going to make sure they're not merging. Separate these out. Separate by selection. And then union the two of them. Origin geometry, then union that to that. And perfect. Here we go. Now that we have this, we're probably going to push this bottom part outwards. Gonna make that part out a little bit bigger, so move it in this direction. And then we're probably going to just keep messing with it and see where it goes. Okay. So we can go into, what else can we go into? Yeah, we can just push these out a little bit. Okay, so it's not perfectly you know, but it's close enough. I never unioned that to this. I'm just unioning this to this now. Okay. Let's push it out a little bit, like I said. Okay, so now it's pushed out a little bit. We can smooth these connections here. First, we're gonna go inside of it, see if there's any weird overlap in geometry. Everything looks okay. Okay. So now we're going to add some geometry here. We'll start at 5. Not enough. 10. Not enough. We'll go to 20. 20 is fine. Looks like 20 is fine. Okay, so now we're just gonna give it all 20. Really try to make this hair look as luxurious as we can. So we'll smooth out the connections here between the individual hair strands. The hair strand in a little bit. So we smooth this connection here between those two hair strands. Yeah, it's starting to look like this, how more naturally goes in. Then we can do the same here. For these, we can pinch. Use a pinch tool to make it look slightly sharper, cleaner. So we may add a little bit more geometry to get a little bit of the finer detail. So as soon as you start working with higher levels of geometry, make sure you're saving often. Okay. That. Okay. So now we can use clay slips tool to add a little bit here. Add a little bit of volume here. Then add some geometry. Some geometry there. And I mean, this is, you don't really need, when you're making stuff like Pokemon and like other simple like Dragon Quest characters or Nintendo characters, you don't have to work in millions and millions of vertices, you know, because they're going on game systems, you know, they're being built for game systems that can't handle any amount of vertices, like the Switch. So okay, that's there. We can give this a little bit of a, give that a little bit of a crease here. And then smooth out the connection point between two of these. Add some volume. Add some volume up top. Okay. Hair is already looking more and more luxurious as we speak. That's this portion here. So now we're gonna have to add some geometry down here. Place this tool. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mask this portion so I don't mess with it. Gonna mask this portion here. Mask. This little bit was masked accidentally. Unmask that. And now we're just gonna add some volume with the clay slips tool. That. Okay. We'll just smooth it out a little bit. There's a slightly better way to do this, but I don't feel like doing it. We could separate both of these little sections into their own individual meshes and then sculpt them individually and then union them together and then clean up the connection point between the two of them. But I don't feel like doing that right now. That'd probably be the best way to do it. So you get like a real clean connection point between two of them instead of kind of like a pseudo connection like I have here. Instead of that, you'd have an actual connection and then you could just make it look kind of better with the smooth tool. But I'm not doing that because this is already looking okay and I'm fine with it. So we're just going to pull this out a little bit here. Take off the topology. Okay, we're gonna turn this hair a little bit. There we go. There we go. That's better. Okay, so we're gonna smooth out here. We're gonna add some more geometry. Here, add geometry. So now we're going to this middle line here, this middle part. Gonna hide these pieces. Okay. This portion here, just gonna make a big crease. Gonna make a big crease, and then I'm going to use the inflate tool. I assume the crease length all the way down to this portion here. There's the big crease between the two of them. Smooth it out. Add a little bit of volume at the end of the crease. Okay, that's good. Closer. And then I'm going to use the inflate tool. Let me add some more geometry here. Then we're going to add some, gonna inflate this section here. Okay. Gonna smooth that out here. And then we're going to just add some, just gonna add some lines here to make it look like there's individual hair slants going in. Add one here, add one here. We're gonna add one here. Okay, and then you'll see what I'm talking about after I do it. Okay. So I'm just going to add a little bit of volume in the positive areas and some volume in the negative areas. So I just hit the dash to just get a very local view. Okay. So now I'm going to smooth it out a little bit. So I'm going to add some geometry in add some volume in the positive here. Okay. And I'm going to smooth it out, and then I'm going to take away some volume in the negative. Here. Okay. So now you see that I've added some volume here. Added volume, added volume. Added volume here. Added volume. Add a little bit more volume here, actually. Now I can take away some volume with the cleave tool. Gonna take off stabilized slopes, make it a little bit smaller. There you go. There's some hairlines. Add some volume here. Add some volume here. Added some volume here. Gonna take away some volume with the cleave tool. There we go. And we'll take a zoom out, and we'll see if it's starting to look a little bit more luxurious. Kind of. Gonna pull this all out here. Okay, that's looking good, I think. So we'll probably just add another line here. See, and we can see there. Add a little bit of more interesting shapes everywhere. Hopefully do the other side. Okay. We can just smooth out this portion up here. use the there we go. Gotta make this a little bit more of a union piece, one larger collective piece. Okay, and then we can add some more volume to the side here. There we go. Adding volume to the side. There we go. There we have more of this luxurious hair. And then we can finish this part off. Make sure you're saving a lot. Subdivide this, and then we can just union it to the other one, create a little bit of the crease lines, the hair lines. Apply, union these two together. Okay. That's good. Add some geometry. And then we can add some geometry here. Some geometry here. Gonna erase this a little bit. Okay. Add some hairlines. Using the crease tool. Kind of make it look a little bit more organic. Okay, and now we can mess with this to make it look this little weird hair bit at the top. We can. This is already a mesh. Yep. Okay, so now we can just move it into place with sculpt mode. Add some geometry. We start low. Remember, you don't really need a lot of geometry to make models that you enjoy. And not every model has to be the most detailed thing out there. This is just going to be a D&D character, a little monster that I have in a lighthouse. Or whatever. Let me know if you guys have any ideas about where to put this. So a lot of these characters I make eventually are made for they're made for the purpose of being put into tabletop board games or RPGs. So I'm always trying to look for, hey, what can this be put in? Where can this be put in? What abilities should this have? Because I don't know. I get kind of bored with the way that most board game characters are made, where they're like kind of a little glitty. And they have similar features. And like, I've always loved video games. and character designs from video games and monster design from video games. And those don't really fit very well, or people don't really use them for tabletop games. At least the ones I've seen. So that's why I started making my own. And I mean, it's really easy. You just make the Pokemon, you make the Mario character, you make whatever, and then you just add a 25mm base to it, and you're pretty much good. They're also very easy to paint, and I'm very bad at painting. So if you ever want like a really easy model to paint, these Pokemon are very easy. It's just flat colors mostly. You can add shadows and stuff, but like you don't have to. Okay. The weird little hair thing. The numbers zoom out, zoom back in. I also put these up everywhere. I put these up on for free. So once I finish it, I make sure it can be 3D printed. And then after I do that, I put them for free download on my printables page. I think that it's in the description of the live stream and on my page. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, so after I finish them, I just put them up for free. Just throw them in your game if you want. If you do, take pictures of it, let me know. I'd love to see them. You can also have them as like a little figures as well for like your house and stuff. That's what I do. I have many Kirby characters. Across my house. That I've 3D printed very big. Just make this little portion a little bit bigger here. Comes out a little bit more like we see on the art. Okay. Then we can just union this to this. Gonna save. Once again, working with very large vertice amounts for Blender. Well, not really, but I just like to be careful. Because when you're not careful, that's when your Blender clashes on you and you have to start over from the beginning, like I did earlier today. That was not fun. But if Blender does end up clashing on you, you get to all the stuff that you made. All the stuff that you made that you were like, this could look better, but I'm just going with it for now. You can fix that. So that's what I did. I moved the eye into a place that I think looked better. Staring a little bit more up. I made this portion slightly better. Okay. So let me... Really, we're almost done. The only thing... Oh, this is looking good. The only thing we have left is to do the patterns on the neck. pattern on the stomach, and to union everything together. So, oh, and to put the mouth. Open mouth or closed mouth? Let's see. Let's look at the Pokemon cards. Open mouth. I'll do open mouth. Okay. So I'm just going to convert this to a mesh. The head. We can convert the head to a mesh. And then I will add some geometry, just a little bit. Apply rotation and scale. Add a little bit of geometry where the mouth would be. That's again using dynamic topology and the... So here we go, 35. Okay, perfect there. We're just gonna add a tiny mouth, doing a little bit of a smile. Push this in with the inflate mesh filter tool. We're going to then we're going to add a tongue. We're going to add a tongue here. Tongues are easy, you just add a sphere. Size in the X and the Z dimension. Make it smaller. And then size it in all the dimensions but the Y dimension. Keep flotating until you find a position that's good. Subdivide surfaces. Subdivide surfaces here. There we go. There we have the tongue. So now we're doing it. I'm just gonna, yeah. Put this all to 1 actually, because okay. These all at 1. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay. Now we can work on the body pattern. Honestly, the body looks like it's fine. Maybe this one out a little bit more. Yeah, that body looks fine to me. Maybe move the legs over a little bit. There we go. That's perfect. Perfect enough. Okay, so we can convert all of this to a mesh. Do we convert to mesh? Okay, we can convert the skin over. And then we can subdivide surfaces. And then we can select this one here. Oh, this one. This one. So Shift Alt. Shift Alt, Shift Alt, and then we can then Control plus, Control plus, Control plus. So this one doesn't look like it, so we can just Shift Alt again to click and remove it. Shift Alt to click in plus. Okay, there you go. That's better. One more. Okay, so then we can just hit E to exclude, and then Alt S to push them out slightly. And then when we subdivide this, I'm going to save. We subdivide it one more time. Perfect. There you go. We have the little neck bits. Now we're looking like it. I'm going to rotate this head a little bit. Gonna rotate all this stuff up here. So it kind of looks like it's... I'm going to rotate it across the 3D cursor. One of these. It looks like it's a little happy. Yeah, and then we'll probably actually... yeah. Probably just move this a little bit closer here. There we go. Okay. So now what we can do is we can just finish off and draw the pattern here on the body. And this can be done pretty easily. Let me save. Build mode. Let me use the... Okay, perfect. So now what we can do is we can just draw the pattern. So we just draw the pattern using the mask tool. Draw the pattern using the mask tool here. Then I'm assuming it comes into the tail like that. Okay. Then we're going to finish drawing the pattern. Draw the pattern using the mask tool. Okay. So now I can stabilize look again. Okay. Perfect. This. Put it in a little bit. Then we can move the arms down, I think, slightly. And then we can push this upwards over like that. Okay. Then we can just do a little bit of drawing. I am terrible at drawing. And that's why I make 3D models. Perfect. Make this a little bigger. Okay. Divide these surfaces. Okay. Just clean this up slightly. Now we push it out a little bit. Push the inflate mesh filter tool. Then we can use the pinch tool to make it a little bit sharper. There we go. And then all we have to do literally is just union everything together. Just union everything together, which I'm not going to do. I'll do that off camera. But here is our Mega Ampharos. It only took about 2 hours, which isn't bad. It looks pretty good, I think. The hair came out luxurious, which is the part that I was worried about coming in. And the tail looks like a weird flagging cloud tail with little swirlies and little spheres. And that's what we're looking for. That's perfect. So I have some more time, so I think I'm just going to save this one. And then I will move on to the next model I was going to do today, which is a Gen 5? Gen 4? Yes, Generation 4. So now we are making a Buneary. Okay. Let me just change the... Yeah, we won't change the theme. We will. Okay, yeah, today's mod is Buneary. 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 Okay. Save. Now we got Buneary. This one is a lot easier, but we're going to use a lot of the same... We're going to be using a lot of the same techniques from the other one to make this one. Okay, so Buneary is a bunny. So, very easy. So we have UV sphere, head, make big. UV sphere, make big. I'm going to draw on these eyes instead of adding them. UV sphere, make head, make big. Add a vertice for the body, exclude it in the Z dimension, add the skin and subdivide surface modifier, then make it slightly bigger, there-ish, yeah, even bigger. There we go. And so I think it only has to be bigger in one dimension. So I'm gonna hit Control A. So I'm gonna hit A. So select all of them. And then I'm going to hit A. Select all of them. Then I'm gonna hit Control A and then X to make it only bigger in the X dimension. Okay, perfect. And now we have this little pattern thing at the bottom, which is just going to be a bunch of meta balls. So whenever you want to make clouds, little fluffy patterns, just making a bunch of meta balls isn't a bad way to go. Kind of keep moving it around. Gonna make this smaller, of course. Okay. Okay, so and then we make it a little bit bigger. And then we just start pulling out some more meta balls. And then it'll literally look like a cloud when we add some geometry and smooth it a little bit. Then we make it a lot clearer that it's a cloud. It's already looking like one. Gotta look at it from all dimensions. Go from the top. Look at it from the bottom. Okay. We select all the meta balls. That's perfectly fine. And then the meta balls for these little pom-poms at the top are going to be much easier because they will just be like 5 or 6. Okay, so that's the bottom part. And then there's just feet. Okay. So head bigger, body smaller. And we just have feet, which are just spheres. Yeah, it looks like they're just spheres. Spheres that are long. Sorry, I'm looking at some other concept art here. Long spheres. And we go into flip mode. And we could also just cut them off here. And they have a little pad at the bottom. Just subdivide it all. Okay, bunny feet. We'll just go into sculpt mode. Use the glab tool with symmetry enabled, and then just move them over. There we go. Perfect. That's good. Okay. And then we can just add some little cleases here for the cleached toe pad or paws. Yeah. Paws. We're gonna convert this to a mesh. Shade flat. Subdivide it. Subdivide it once. We'll add some geometry and clean it up. Mirror this. Lost the head. Pause. Take off merge. Okay, and then what we can do is we can separate them out. Separate by selection there. Here. And oop. Here we go. You can separate them by selection. And then we put the paw here. Paw. Origin geometry here. Paw. Switch paw here. Paw there. One paw in front of the other paw. Move paw around. There we go. Okay. That's good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to just clean this cloud up a little bit. We're going to add some geometry, go into dynamic typology, constant detail. Then we can just, oh, that's too little. Maybe make 10, 15. All right, that's better. Now we can make it a little bit more obvious that these are clouds by just going in, smoothing it a little bit. Smoothing it. And then we're going to use the crease tool to add a little bit of definition to each supposed cloud. Gonna make sure the select is not enabled. Cloud, 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 cloud. Cloud. Cloud here, cloud there. Cloud here, cloud there, cloud here. Cloud here. Cloud here. Cloud, cloud. Cloud, cloud. Smooth the parts that you don't feel are smooth enough. Add some geometry here. Then we're going to inflate it. Cloud. Okay, go back to creasing. Cloud. 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 Cloud, cloud. Go back to cleasing. Go back to cleasing. There we go. And then we can just use the inflate tool, the end between the cloud segments. And then here, there should be a cloud. Okay. The little cloud skirt. Shift, Shift, S, Shift Z. Origin to geometry. Shift Z. Cloud skirt. A little bit. There we go. And now we can add the hands. How do we add the hands? We can yeah, the hands are very simple. The hands are just looks like they're kind of like the paws. We're just UV spheres. Or honestly, they could be honestly cubes as well. So I'm just gonna add a cube here. Cube. Subdivide surfaces. Add a cube, add a cube, add a cube. Okay, yep, that looks like it. And then we can make it a little bit bigger in the middle. Make it smaller here. Of course, these are going to be holding a... I'm going to add the lines. I'm going to convert this to a mesh. Or I'm just going to subdivide it a little bit more. And then I'm going to add the paws by just using the clease tool. Add the clease tool here. Oop. Okay. Smooth this out a little bit. I like how that looks. Use the pinch tool a little bit. Pinch tool. Plate tool. Okay. That's fine. So now I'm going to rotate this. And then I'm going to use the snake hook tool. To make it appear as if this bunny is holding a berry. I don't know what berry it is, but I can find out. Okay, let's see. So I'm going to rotation and scale. Confirm rotation and scale. Yep, confirm rotation and scale. And then kind of use snake hook tool to keep moving this around at this head. So it's going to be holding a berry. Then I'll do the same with this hand. Confirm rotation and scale. Control A. Then we're just gonna move this. Gonna move this along here. Set the origin to geometry. Okay. We're just gonna move this here. That is as the other arm on the berry. Two arms on the berry. And we're just gonna push this down a little bit. That's seen in the art. We're gonna push this up a little bit. This can be done in using the pose making. Okay. So this berry is kind of simple. Just add a UV sphere. Make it long. One dimension, we can use proportion editing to make it kind of sharper. And then we can grab a couple of the vertices near the top. Make that bigger, push it up a little bit. We can then exclude this top one here. Just exclude that. And then we can add some beveled creases in the middle. Shifting Alt. Let's just get rid of those up top. And then bevel, Control B. Get rid of these. Get rid of these. You can just Control and then box select them away. We've already beveled them. And then we can just take off proportion editing, Alt S. And then set the right surfaces. And then we can happen there. Oh, I see what happened there. So we can deselect these faces. Escape Alt S inwards a little bit. And we can take these vertices here and then just dissolve them. Then you dissolve those vertices. Or you dissolve these faces. One of the two. Dissolve faces. Dissolve vertices. I'm just gonna dissolve vertices and see if we can. Okay, so because when we solidify surfaces like this, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to delete these faces. Delete faces. And then just subdivide these. Maybe just Control plus. Nope. Take this off. I'm gonna subdivide these faces here. This is probably the worst way of doing it, but this is, I'm just trying to make a berry for this bunny to hold on to, so we're just gonna subdivide these. They're subdivided. And then we're just going to click one vertex, click the other, see merge at last. Click here, merge at last. We're just gonna keep doing that because I don't want to remember how to do it the other way. Merge at last. So after this, we'll have the berry for the bunny. And then we can start making the ears and the face of the bunny. What else? This is the reason that I don't like modeling. I like sculpting a lot more because modeling is a lot of this. Okay. So subdivide surfaces again. Ugh. For some reason, it's not working. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna delete this. Dissolve all of these. I'm just gonna now select all these. There we go. You can make it work eventually. Okay. Push this a little bit further up. See, it's just, now it's a bunny for this berry. A berry for this bunny. Bunny has the berry. And that's why I chose this Pokemon card to make. Because it's very fun to have a bunny with a berry. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna move it slightly away from the face. Because I'm going to be 3D printing this. And then I'm going to be painting it. So I want to have a little bit of distance between the head and the flute to actually paint. And I'll probably make this berry slightly smaller. There we go. Yeah, that's better. Okay. So now we can go on to making the ears. The ears I think are also pretty easy. It's just a cube. Cube here. And then we just subdivide surfaces. Add a edge loop using the loop cuts with Control R. Then we can inset this eye, these faces here. Kind of do one of those. Then we can extrude them inwards. And then the smaller we make them, okay, then we can make it just taller, like this bunny ear is. Then we can yeah, that's better. Then we can make them smaller in at the bottom. That's starting to look a lot more like a bunny ear to me. Yeah, there we go. So now we can rotate this. I'm gonna add one here. So first I'm gonna duplicate this for the bunny ear over there. And then I'm going to rotate this a little bit. And then we're going to move these up a little bit so they don't compress like they are currently doing. Okay. That looks like the bunny ear to me. Perfect. So this one is just how far back are these bunny ears? They're pretty far back. So we can move them back here. There we go. There we go. And then we are going to make this little pom-pom thing. The way I find make these pom-poms really easy, meta balls. So just add one here. And then we shift D, add one there. Shift D, G, Y. Move one up, that's one. Then we have one over here. That's 2. That's 3. That's 4. That's 5. And then we can just take all of them, all of the outside ones, make them slightly smaller. Or bigger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Move it out slightly. Small out slightly. And that looks like that little pom-pom part. And then we can just convert this to a mesh. Convert to mesh. And then there we go. Subdivide surfaces, shade flat. And then we can add a little bit of geometry to it by going to here, dynamic topology, add some geometry, and then this is how we make the pom-pom similar to the way we did it on the body. And we just smooth these all out. Smooth them out like this. And then we can just make them a little bit bigger. And then we have one light in the middle. Ish. And then we can just use the crease tool. Take off stabilize slug, make it a little bit weaker. And then smooth them out. Okay. Now we have this pom-pom. We can now replace the tip of this with the pom-pom. Okay. Replaced. Gonna move these over. We're going to inset this face here. Okay. And then we're going to put that there, and there we go. There's your pom-pom. So we'll do the same here, except this is much easier because we can just kind of rotate this completely in on itself. Rotate this in completely on itself. That. so that it's actually kind of completely absorbed by the head. Perfect, like that. And then we can just do one of these. Okay, move it in. Okay, perfect. Now we can move this pom-pom over to, we can move the pom-pom over, but first we should make these ears bigger, because that's how they look in the art. Okay, now we got a big ear. It's slightly smaller in the Y dimension. We'll move it in, rotate it. There we go. Then there is the other pom-pom bit. Okay, so now the only thing we have left, we just subdivide surface of the body a little bit. Body. There we go. So now we just have to finish off the head. Get the head bigger. Move the ears and this up. Move this up. Move all this up. There you go. Okay. So now we can make the eyes and the little dots and the mouth. So divide surfaces. Yeah, I do 5. Remember to save often. Okay. So like I said, I'm just gonna draw on the eyes and the mouth. So we can enable symmetry. Enable symmetry here. Eyes are big and far from each other. That. Yeah. Big and far from each other. Perfect. Okay, so now we can probably make them a little bit rounder. Like that. Okay, that's good. Now that they're slightly farther from each other. Control I. Push that in a little bit. Make those a little cleaner. So I just used the mesh mask tool, inverted the mask with Control I, and then use the inflate mesh filter tool to push the eyes in. So now that that's there, I'm going to just put the little pupil, that. There. Then I'm just gonna just leave it like that. Push the pupil out slightly. That's looking very good. So now we can make the little eyebrows here. Just a little dot above the eyes. Push those out a little bit. Yep. Push those out slightly. Perfect. Now we can do the mouth, which is just a thin line. starting pretty high up, slightly at the eyes, and then comes out like this, I think. Maybe it flops in a little bit earlier and comes out a little bit earlier as well. We shall take a look. So let's take this mask off. You like that? I think that's like it. Nah, it kind of just bends out immediately. So here, and then just bends out immediately. Something like that. Except probably not so wide, so I'm just gonna take off some of this. So the way I get better control is by just taking stabilized strokes off. And then I can put it back on when I want the control back. Like that. Then take it back and then just go in the negative direction. And there we go. Perfect. There we go. That's good. So now we can just control I. Gonna make this a little bit thinner. Yep. And then I'm gonna push this in. Then use the pinch tool to kind of make them a little bit okay, perfect. And then the nose will just be a sphere with subdivided surfaces. Sphere, subdivided surfaces. And then at the end here, we can push this in a little bit. Make the whole thing smaller. Push it in, push it out, push it over. And now we have a small nose. Make the nose a little bit bigger. Okay. So now we have our bunny. I'm going to union this to this. Gonna union the nose to the body. And then I am going to rotate all of it. Make sure you save. Now I'm going to rotate it. Okay, and then I'm going to kind of make it look a little bit more like the art. Okay, moving it down here. There. I'm gonna move this in here. Okay, and then I'm going to rotate this as well. Okay, and then we're just going to move this arm up slightly using the snake hook tool. There we go. There is our Buneary. Looks like a bunny to me. And that's all that matters. Very fun. Okay, so I'm going to save this. And I think that that was probably enough, especially with the other failed sleep at the very beginning of the day. I am going to be getting off. Like I said, in the description, you'll probably be able to see these 3D printed and available for download for free on my printables page. Another one. I'll be on tomorrow making an alclame. So I'll be on tomorrow around the same-ish time, maybe. But yeah, that's it. So I'm probably gonna get off here. There's the bunny. Earlier was the Ampharos, and I'll be making an alclame tomorrow. So thank you for everybody who came. And I'll see you tomorrow.